Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It is November 14th, 2023. As you are aware, I am James Fauntleroy. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, have a seat, sit on down. Good to see all of you here on this beautiful Tuesday. As you guys know, the Jaybefaunt channel is available on all major podcast platforms, so go ahead, subscribe to me there. Also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can see me on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, as well as you can see me always here on Tuesdays afternoon at 2 p.m. Late or on time, I will be here. So good to see all of you here. If you guys have not, you guys can subscribe to my Substack at jaybefaunt.substack.com so you are aware of all the clips, live streams, as well as articles that are uploaded and put up on the platform, so you guys can be aware of all that. So please go ahead and subscribe there. If you have not already, please make sure to like the stream. If you already like me, you really like me. Go ahead and do that. If you guys want to wait till the end, go ahead and do that there. Either I like or dislike, whatever floats your boat. So good to see all of you here with me today. I usually don't talk about this that much, but I also got a merch store, just letting you guys know. So if you guys go to Bonfire, then put in Jaybefaunt, you guys will find me in my merch store there, just to give that as an aside as well. But so good to see all of you here today. Now, just to give a hello to everybody that's watching in the Chizat. Let's see Chizat again. You know, I get on my own nerves because I will say stuff from 1998 and I ain't got nobody over here to correct me. I will say something wrong with me. Something wrong with me, folks. Anywho, let's say hello to everybody that's in the Chizat. Why do I keep saying that? Gosh. Serena, stop me. She says, greetings, comrades. We have Miguel H coming in saying, peace. Good to see you, Miguel. We have Cobra Commander saying, hi. All right. We have Sean coming in saying, hello, everyone. Working now, so listening only today. Well, good to see you anyway, Sean. Nice to have you. Roger Meadow says, I ain't got no money today for you, bro. It's okay. It's all free chats like Nuka is broken. It's all good. Look, hey, I'm still going to look for your comments on Rockfin, right? Go ahead. You know, I'm going to look for them. So thank you so very much, Roger. Good to see you in the chat. Look, I'm here to learn too, just like everybody else. Waddy coming in saying, hey, everybody, so good to see you. Jacqueline says, hey, everyone, good to see you. What in the hell did I put in this tea? For some reason, I'm like, anyway, good to see you, Jacqueline. All right. Who else do we have in here that I didn't get to say hello to? All right. We have everybody coming. Everybody in the house tonight. All right. Okay. So what are we going to be talking about today? So I'm doing two stories today. One of them is going to be a little bit lengthy because really we're connecting the dots. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And then another one really is just gotcha, sucker. That's the only way I can describe it. So what are we going to be talking about today? So as you guys saw in the original thumbnail, it's all connected. Why are we looking at diamond miners next to Netanyahu and Israel? What in the world is going on? How is it all connected? We're going to talk about it. But we're going to be talking about our first story, Coons Corner. Oh, wee! Boy, Aaron Mate got him. He got him. Yes. Chris Coons got cornered by Aaron Mate. Not necessarily cornered, but Chris Coons probably felt cornered. And I'm quite glad that he did, because politicians should not be able to go anywhere without being questioned for their support of genocide. They should be questioned inquired, supplicated to, however you feel, safely and without harm to anybody. But should they be frustrated? Yes. Should they be annoyed? Yes. Should they be shamed? Yes. They should be shamed. And they should be made to feel like they failed humanity by asking these questions. Now, there was a young lady that had family that was murdered in Gaza that had approached Senator Elizabeth Warren while she was at dinner and asked her about a ceasefire. Actually, I should show that. Let me see. Let me share that with you guys. Let's share that. Okay. Let me share that with you guys first, just to give you guys a little bit of that energy that I co-sign on. Because if you're going to oversee how our lives are ran in this country, then that's what you signed up for. So this is what a young lady did. Props to the young lady.
Can I give you some water to get started? That's supposed to be tap water. We also have water. 60 members of my family killed over the last 3 weeks. I just don't know how many more have to die before you're going to call for a ceasefire. I don't know. What do you tell me? Wait, I mean, what do I have to do? How many more of my family survive for you to call for a ceasefire? I don't know. Like, how much more do I have to say for you to call for a ceasefire? People are in your office every day asking you to call for a ceasefire, and you are refusing to call for a ceasefire.
I don't think this is the proper place for it.
There's the number, by the way. I'm going to leave it up for a few seconds. But while I leave that number up for a few seconds, I'm going to let you know right now. 68 members of her family, 68 members were killed in the last 3 weeks. What would you do if your family, 68 members of your family, were murdered in the last 3 weeks? Oh, this isn't the place for that. This is a restaurant. You just don't do things like that here. What would you do? No, wait. Everybody in the chat right now, what would you do if 68 members of your family, cousins, aunties, uncles, maybe parents, maybe grandparents, nieces, nephews, were murdered? And the very least that they could do is call for a ceasefire. That's the very, very minute bare minimum. And yet somebody comes in with civility politics and says, this is not the place for that. This isn't the time. This isn't the time. People are look. If I were Senator Warren, I would have got my ass out of that booth. Said, ma'am, let's come over here and talk just for a second. I would have took that time out to pull her to the side and talked. Cameras in my face and all. And I would talk to her for a second. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want that to happen. Because they don't want their heartstrings tugged in the right direction. Because that money is good. Money from the Zionist PACs are good. And they love that salary that they get. That congressional salary. Oh, it's so sweet. And those millions of dollars that they get, those free dinners and stuff. It's good. The way these corporations treat you. They treat you real good. As long as you look the other way. That snake emoji was right. Just saying. And now we know that a lot of senators, Congress people, whether they are federal or state, their phone lines are being swamped. Their inboxes are being flooded with a number of people coming out and saying, you guys need to at least call for a ceasefire. And the thing is that they're not budging. And they're not budging because they have a deal with the military industrial complex. You know, and the thing is that that military industrial complex just says, nah, we actually want to keep things going. Whereas not everybody really actually wants the ceasefire. Let me see something. So let me share this. Because the people are at least with the ceasefire. This is out of Data for Progress, right? So here's the poll. It says should call for a ceasefire and de-escalation of violence in Gaza. It says to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statement? The U.S. should call for a ceasefire and de-escalation of violence in Gaza. The U.S. should leverage its close diplomatic relationship with Israel to prevent further violence and civilian deaths. You have the dark blue with strongly agree, the lighter blue with somewhat agree. You have the gray with don't know, light red for somewhat disagree, and then a dark or faded red, and then a solid red for strongly disagree. If you look at the numbers, right, between all likely voters and then how it breaks down between Democrat, Independent, Third Party, and Republican. Look at the breakdown. Let's go to Republican first. Republican, a majority, 56%, say they agree with calling for a ceasefire. 56% of Republicans. I'm sorry, but they're usually the ones that are more pro, like we got to go out there and get them. 56% of Republicans are saying that they want a ceasefire. Let's continue. If you go up to Independent Third Party, it goes up to 56%. I'm sorry, 57%. But then when you hit Democrats, it's 80%. Hold up. 80% of Democrats want a ceasefire. 80%. And I'm sorry, but isn't Elizabeth Warren a Democrat? And she's not doing what the Democratic voters actually want? Does this sound like a democracy to you? When the people who are in the upper echelons of power, where they don't do what the actual voter base wants? What is that called? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so when it comes to people like Senator Elizabeth Warren, of course she should be approached. And so when you get a general view of everyone that is polled, so this was a survey on October 18th to 19th of 1,329 likely voters. And all likely voters, it came out to 66%. That's a strong majority of people that actually want to call for a ceasefire. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I think the ceasefire is very, very weak. I say end the occupation. End it completely. Land back, right? That's what I think. But at very, very least, stop the killing, right? They don't even want to, the politicians don't even want to do that. They want to keep giving money to Israel over and over and over, keep giving that check, that $3 billion check every single year. And then what? Palestinians keep dying? It's not even we're mowing the lawn now. No, they're taking Epsom salt and throwing it on the lawn and trying to kill the entire lawn all at once. They don't want no grass no more. So that's where the voters stand. And that young lady showed a lot of grit and bravery in approaching her, which I am glad. And that sets the stage for what Aaron Mate did. Now, I have a poll, so make sure to take the poll. But here's what Aaron Mate did. Aaron Mate, as you all know, an award-winning journalist, independent journalist, also with the Gray Zone as well. Does great work, right? And not too long ago, he spoke at the UN. He spoke about the OPCW cover-up of the chemical weapons attack in Syria. And so he is been pretty much on the right track when it comes to a lot of these issues, especially foreign issues within the United States within the last, few years. And if you guys know Aaron, Aaron is pretty chill, but when he has to question somebody, he will hammer somebody. Between him and Max Blumenthal, holy crap, right? You do not want, look, I'm telling you right now, if you are a politician, you better be honest and above board, because if they have to question you and if you have to try to skirt away, they will not let you go. They will not let you go. And I'm thankful for journalists like that. Now, let me share what Aaron Mate said when he got into a quiet car with Senator Chris Coons. Now, Senator Chris Coons is the senator from Delaware. And Chris Coons, man, he was not having a good day. All right, so let's go. Sure.
Senator, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but when I call for a ceasefire in Gaza, I'm a journalist, name's Aaron Mate. When I call for a ceasefire in Gaza, you have 4,600 children killed.
He said, why not call for a ceasefire in Gaza? 4,600 children killed. So now, just to let you guys know, just the children is 4,600. The death toll is over 11,000. We are now reaching 10 times the amount of Israelis that were killed on October 7th. There has been 10 times that amount of Palestinians that have been killed. So for every Israeli, and by the way, the Israelis that were killed, most of which were actually military, were people in the Israeli military. For every one that was killed, 10 Palestinians were killed. So for every Israeli soldier, basically, you had 10 Palestinian civilians. Let's continue.
I know it's a quiet card. I apologize for abuse, but I understand. But children are dying. Children are dying, sir. More than 40. When I call for a cease, they're being killed with our weapons. U.S. weapons are killing kids in Gaza.
Who are you?
My name is Aaron Mate. I'm a journalist.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Likewise.
Please stop talking to me.
I'm sorry, sir. It's of dire importance. More than 11,000 civilians, as we're talking, being killed. I'm a journalist for the Gray Zone.
What's the Gray Zone?
It's a U.S.-based news website.
Good for you.
Thank you. And right now, with our support, kids are being killed. I'm sorry. With our weapons, I'm asking you to explain why not call for a ceasefire.
You're bothering me and everyone else around me.
Kids in Gaza are being massacred.
You heard what he said? He said, you're bothering me and everyone else around you. Let me ask you something. If there was a shooting happening outside and you came into a library and said, oh my God, there's a shooting going on outside. We got to get everybody out. Out. Is that bothering everyone? There's a fire going on down the street. Oh my God, there's a fire. There's a fire. We need somebody help. Come on, help us. And you go into a library. Are you bothering people in the library? For asking for help? What is Chris Coons on? This is the quiet car. Stop bothering me. A lot of times people will use civility politics and decorum, or I should say proper decorum, to shut people down. It's like, this isn't appropriate. Let's keep going.
Asking you, please explain. Why not call for a ceasefire?
Stop. Sir, could I please have some help here?
Kids are being killed with our weapons.
Stop. I'm asking you to stop.
Why not stop?
This is
why
not
not call for
an appropriate
stopping
place
of
for you to interview me. You're bothering everybody else
it's
around us.
It's a crisis
How
right
did
now.
You get this seat?
I bought the seat.
See where he goes? He's like, how did you get this seat? Motherfucker, I brought this seat with my own money. Yo ass decided to sit in front of me. So guess what? I know who you are, and I'm going to ask my questions. Now, I want you to notice something. Did Aaron Mate raise his voice? We'll continue more, but look, listen to exactly what he says and the volume at which he's saying it. And we'll continue further in this and tell you the aftermath of this in a second. But pay attention, close attention to that too.
No. He's bothering me while I'm trying to do work.
He's bothering me. No. Oh my goodness. He's asking me questions on a quiet car about my job and making sure that people don't die in a genocide. Oh, wow. You see, here's the thing. If I was working at Best Buy, and if I had the blue t-shirt on and my Best Buy tag on, and somebody came to me in the quiet car and they were like, look, hey, I got some questions about my computer or about my phone or about my camera, and I need you to ask them. It's like, well, you can ask me at my job, right? But you made saying not here at my job, you know, it's like, okay, it's not a life-threatening issue. But if I am a U.S. senator with the power of the purse, or if the power to call for things that push the president or Congress in a certain direction that literally saves lives, if I literally have that power that could save lives, then what? Like, hold up, wait. If somebody's having a medical emergency on the train, and if you ask the person who you see as a doctor or nurse that's on the train, are they going to go, you know what? It's the quiet car. Can you just let me be? If you need an emergency, just call 911. Like, what? Get that decorum BS out of here. People are literally dying right now. And I bet you, if it was just a cordial, like hee hee ha ha conversation with Chris Coons, he'd be like, oh, yeah. And then he'd go back to reading whatever article or whatever statement, talking points that he needs to deliver from some lobbyist. But no, it's all about decorum for him.
Is paying for weapons that are murdering children. Guys, I'm asking him when I call for a ceasefire.
Aaron,
can you explain that?
please stop.
Can I ask you to explain when I call for a ceasefire?
You've already asked me 5 times. I'm not going to call for a ceasefire. I strongly support humanitarian causes. I've urged the Israeli government to target their campaign against Hamas.
He said that he's not going to call for a ceasefire, but he said humanitarian pauses.
But you need
Do you think the
stop.
campaign is targeted against Hamas when civilians are being massacred, when babies in incubators are dying because the fuel's being cut off?
I'm going to have you thrown off this train. Please stop doing this.
I'll have you thrown off this train. If you are a regular ticket holder, could you potentially have somebody thrown off the train if they're just talking to you? And hold up, wait a minute. Maybe it's just me. Like, are those seats assigned to each? Are those seats on? Because I've never been on an Amtrak train, and so when it comes to being on a quiet car and stuff like that, I don't really know. But are those seats assigned just like they are on a plane, or on cars like that you can move from seat to seat depending on who's where, like on a bus? Because if it's where you're not necessarily assigned to a particular seat and you could just sit wherever you want as long as there's an available seat, then why doesn't Chris get his ass up and move? That's my question. Like, I've never been on an Amtrak train before. Let's continue. Let me know if the seats are designated just like on a plane, because I don't know that, but it feels like it wouldn't be on a train like that.
I have to ask these questions
10 times.
I know, and
you're getting as professional, measured, and appropriate an answer out of me as you can. This is not professional journalism. Please get up and leave now.
I don't think it's.
What in the world is professional journalism? Like, hold up, wait a minute. There's ethical journalism, but when it comes to professional journalism and the lives of people hang in the balance, you're damn right I'm going to ask you a question at the most inconvenient time. Why? Because people's lives hang in the balance and you literally have the power to move shit. So no, I'm not going to choose the most appropriate time. Like, why in the world is that? Why is that the biggest sin is not him talking to you in a quiet car, Christopher? The biggest sin is the fact that you are literally allowing a state, an illegal occupying state, and doing massacring people in an open air concentration camp, and you don't seem to really give a shit except for your quiet time. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you kidding me right now? gosh, these liberals, I'm telling you, they get on my goddamn nerves because they will cry about decorum when somebody is burning. Please don't scream so loud. I know you're burning, and I know you're in a vice grip, but can you just... That's what it sounds like to me, doesn't it? God, the smugness and arrogance. Goodness.
It's humane to be massacring kids. That's the problem here.
That's
I
great.
realize I'm not
I don't think it's
professional.
humane to be massacring kids either.
Okay, then
And
why
I
are we
think when
supporting it?
Hamas massacred 1,400 Israeli civilians,
By the way, most of them were not civilians. Most of the Israelis were actually soldiers and people in military. So, and then a lot of the rest of the civilians were actually killed by Israeli fire. So, guess what, chicken butt? It is not necessarily Hamas that is massacring people. Number one, if you are illegally occupied by another force, you literally have the right to defend and resist. That is in the Geneva Conventions. That is by international law. That's international law. And they have been under illegal occupation for 75 years. So when they keep saying civilians, that is completely skewed and misrepresenting the actual facts on the ground.
the whole world should unite in opposition to terrorism.
First of all, the number is 1,200. It wasn't
Are
entirely
we going to
civilians.
quibble over how many civilians were massacred by Hamas?
It's important to be precise.
It is important to be precise.
But yes, civilians were massacred.
I'm a senator.
Second,
This
the right
is
to
a quiet car. You're breaking the basic rules of how we operate on Amtrak.
Okay, and the question
Please
is,
stop.
and I believe we're breaking international law
Okay.
by supporting
Thanks for
massacres
your
of
opinion.
civilians. Yes.
You've had a lot of my time. Please move on.
A lot of your time. This video is only 2 minutes and 52 seconds. A lot of your time. How much time is a constituent allowed?
Why not at least
Right.
call for a ceasefire?
Now, he could have got his ass up and moved a long time ago, but instead he decided to stay there and have a hissy fit. Got his whitey tighties in a bunch just because somebody decided to ask him to actually care about human beings in another part of the world. Chris Coontastic. So there is an aftermath that Aaron Mate talks about. And let's take a listen to what Aaron Mate said.
So I've just been removed from an Amtrak train going to Washington, D.C. after I questioned Democratic Senator Chris Coons about his support for the Israeli mass murder campaign in Gaza and his refusal to call for a ceasefire. After I questioned him, he left his seat, then he came back, and then he asked that I be removed. And so a Amtrak staffer came over and told me to change seats or else I'd be thrown off the train. And in Senator Coons' defense, this was the quiet car. And so I did violate the norms of the quiet car by questioning him about his stance. But I felt this was important because we're talking about a massacre in Gaza. And I felt okay violating the norms of the quiet car, given that I believe we're violating international law by supporting the murder of so many innocents inside Gaza. So after he made that request, I did move my seat. I complied and I sat somewhere else. And the train continued along. But then a while later, he walked by me. We did not exchange words. I was respecting the sanctity of the quiet car and his request that I no longer question him. But shortly after that, the train stopped in Philadelphia, and all of a sudden I was taken off the train by police and told that I had been thrown off by the conductor. I'm assuming at the request of Senator Coons. So Senator Coons, if it makes you feel better to have me removed from a train because I bothered you, I understand it's not pleasant to be questioned, especially not to be questioned about supporting the mass murder of civilians. But what I hope you will still address is why you are supporting this mass murder, why you won't call for a ceasefire along with some of your Democratic colleagues who are in the House. And I don't regret at all questioning you about that, even though it was in the quiet car, because right now, as inconvenienced as you were by my questions, there are over 2 million people in Gaza who are being massacred and displaced. And given that this is being done with US weaponry, their rights need to be addressed. And these questions need to be answered.
The buzzsaw has spoken. He's right. I think Aaron Mate has a point. And so for somebody like Chris Coons to get so mad, so threatened, that he had to go to the conductor and tell him, throw this guy off the train because he asked me questions. The snowflake of it all. This is an emergency, and you don't want to talk. And guess what? What if this was outside of the quiet car? He still would have had Aaron Mate thrown off. I guarantee you. Because he doesn't want to be questioned on things like that. That's who people like Chris Coons and Elizabeth Warren are. Now, I could be off about this, but I tried to look into Chris Coons on Open Secrets. It says now showing data for 2024. Hang on. Wait, did I? Yeah. I thought I had that up. Okay. So if you look at the top 20 contributor, let's change it to top 100 contributors. Now, I was looking at this, right? And of course, he gets money from corporations, right? That's no surprise. Now, one of them was DuPont. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't DuPont a chemical company? And as I was looking at chemical companies, I saw this. So he gets money from DuPont. And it looks like there's some tie here. So it says Monsanto, Bayer, Dow, DuPont, Adama, Chemicina, and implicated in Gaza blockade. What? All right, let's take a look here. It says since 2014, the Israeli military has been aerially spraying vegetation-killing herbicides in Gaza in order to clear out the area along the Gaza border. The spraying is done by aircraft a few times a year during December to January and again around April. The Israeli military of defense claims the spraying is done on the Israeli side of the border and refuses to disclose the exact locations for quote-unquote security reasons. However, many Palestinian farmers had their vegetable fields and crops destroyed. This is important now. Let's continue. The Red Cross confirmed that herbicides completely destroyed crops and contaminated water sources located within 3,000 feet from the border. The herbicides were also found to have damaged crops up to 1.3 miles inside the Gaza Strip. The entire width of the Gaza Strip ranges between 3.5 to 7.5 miles. During the 2017 to 2018 winter spraying season, the herbicides affected 544 acres of agricultural lands and 2,570 acres of pasture. Some Palestinian farmers have sought compensation for their loss of livelihood from Israeli authorities. The Israeli Ministry of Defense rejected their demands and refused to name the chemicals that it uses, but it did not deny that the damages were a result of its spraying activities. Beyond the economic loss of the harvest, the herbicides are also harmful to human health and to the environment, as detailed below. In a similar case, Israeli authorities used aerial spraying to destroy the crops of Palestinian Bedouin Israeli citizens until 2007, when the Israeli Supreme Court banned this practice because of its danger to human life and health. Today, the Israeli military coordinates the spraying with the Israeli communities that surround the Gaza Strip for them to take measures to minimize the harm, but it does not give comparable advance notice to farmers in Gaza. It says the Freedom of Information application filed by the Israeli human rights organization Gisha revealed that the chemicals used and the companies involved. The spraying is executed by two Israeli civilian aviation companies, Chemnir and Telem Aviation, at the direction of the Israeli military's Gaza division. The contract with the aviation companies indicates the specific brands and herbicides to be used. Glyphosate, which is Roundup, produced by U.S.-based company Monsanto, a subsidiary of German pharmaceutical giant Bayer. In 2015, the International Agency of Research in Cancer classified glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen. A carcinogen, just for everybody, is a cancer-causing agent. Anything that's listed as a carcinogen, just like cigarette smoke, is a carcinogen. So, glyphosate is a cancer-causing agent that has been made known here in the United States. There have been cases of people who have contracted cancer from using Roundup that was made by Monsanto in this country. And now they're using it, and it's affecting Palestinians. This is sick. Let's continue. Monsanto faces thousands of similar lawsuits in the U.S. alone. Oxyflorin says produced by U.S.-based company Dow Chemical and now part of Dow DuPont, the world's largest chemical company in terms of sales. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency classifies oxyflorin as a possible human carcinogen since 1992, 31 years ago. U.S. Department of Agriculture found oxyflorin to be a health hazard for anyone handling it without protective gear or consuming food contaminated with the herbicide. So you literally have people who are connected to Senator Chris Coons who are literally committing, in a sense, chemical warfare, or as I like to say, poisoning of Gazans. Connected to Senator Chris Coons. So he never gave a shit about the Palestinians. Durian, produced by Israeli company Adama Agricultural Solutions, formerly Makteshim Agon Industries, a subsidiary of Chem China, the state-owned China National Chemical Corporation. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency found durian to produce dioxin-like effects, reproductive and developmental problems, harm to the immune system, and cancer. The same chemicals are manufactured by other companies as well, and we don't have evidence that the above companies produce are ones being used in this case. It's not the first time chemicals used by these companies are weaponized. Dow initially put gunpowder, an explosive manufacturer, and now part of Dow DuPont, was the largest supplier of gunpowder to U.S. military during the American Civil War. Yes, Dow and DuPont is that old. DuPont later became part of the Manhattan Project, producing plutonium for the atomic bomb the U.S. dropped on Nagasaki. During the Vietnam War, both Monsanto and Dow Chemical were leading providers of Agent Orange to U.S. military, which sprayed it over the jungles of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, causing massive environmental damage and lingering public health problems. Dow Chemicals also produced napalm for the U.S. military to use in Vietnam. More recently, Monsanto was revealed to be a leading manufacturer of weaponized white phosphorus. That same stuff that will cause a Palestinian person, or any human being, but it's been used in Palestine in warfare to burn until it reaches your bones. Chris Coons don't give a shit about Palestinians. A 2012 U.S. Army procurement document named the company as the sole U.S.-based manufacturer of white phosphorus for M110 chemical artillery projectiles. International humanitarian law restricts the military use of white phosphorus due to its incendiary properties. During the 2008-2009 assault on Gaza, the Israeli military used U.S.-made white phosphorus shells illegally in areas heavily populated with civilians. However, a Human Rights Watch found ammunition remnants that were manufactured 2 decades earlier by Thiokol Aerospace, a U.S. company now part of Northrop Grumman, not by Monsanto. It says, while herbicides do not qualify as chemical weapons, Israel's use of them in Gaza may constitute a violation of international humanitarian law. In general, international humanitarian law requires that during wartime and occupation, which means the last 75 years, civilians and humanitarian interests must be protected. Customary international humanitarian law severely restricts the use of herbicides as in warfare. Herbicides must not be used against vegetation, which is not a military target, if it causes excessive incidental damage to civilian objects, or if it could cause widespread, long-term, severe damage to the natural environment. The detrimental use of herbicides needs to be understood in the context of decades-long military blockade imposed by Israel on the Gaza Strip. In 2017, the UN estimated that more than 40% of the population in Gaza was food insecure, mainly as a result of the blockade. By destroying crops year after year, Israel may be in violation of Article 55 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, which requires an occupying state to ensure the food supplies of the occupied population. Let me ask you guys again. Who cut off food, electricity, water, and fuel from Gaza? International law is literally being violated by the state of Israel. And yet nobody is talking about it in Congress. Except for maybe a couple people. Chris Coons sure as hell ain't talking about it. Coontastic Coons. It says, in addition, the customary international humanitarian law prohibits the use of starvation as a method of warfare. I'm going to read that again. In addition, customary international humanitarian law prohibits the use of starvation as a method of warfare and prohibits attacking objects indispensable to the survival of the civilian population. Under the blockade, local produce has become one of the main sources of sustenance and livelihood for Palestinians in Gaza. I'm going to share this with y'all so you guys have access to this. But that's what they're doing. And that's who Chris Coons is connected to. He's connected to DuPont. So what do I say to this when it comes to people like Chris Coons? Be prepared to answer questions anywhere and everywhere. I don't care if somebody has to stand next to you in a urinal and question you about Gaza. It's like all this water around us that we can use, and yet Gazans ain't got none. You think that's right, Christopher? They need and deserve to be questioned on the support of genocide. So, did you guys take the poll? Go ahead and take that poll and let me know. Was it inappropriate for Mate to approach Chris Coons? Watch, it'll be like 1 or 2% that go, yeah, I think it was inappropriate. And also, while you're there, also please make sure to like the stream. So, let me actually... And then after we go to the chat, then I'll get into my primary story. Okay. Let's pause it. Touch it, bring it back, watch it, flip, turn it, leave it, stop formatting. Okay, hang on. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen. All right. All right, kiddos. Question: do you think it was inappropriate for Aaron Mate to question Senator Coons about Gaza in the quiet car? 18% said yes. What? 18% said of y'all said yes? Good Lord. Wow. Okay. 75% said no, and 7% said it depends on the subject. Wow. 18% said yes, it was inappropriate? Wow. Okay. I guess there's some disagreement between me and some of the audience. But it's all good. We can't agree on everything. All right, so I'm going to go to Rockfin first. Check the rock. Oh, Roger, you wonderful man, you. Hang on. Let me make sure. Let's click that out of here. Okay, so Roger sent a link. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look-see. Okay, so this is out of popular information. It says these companies spent over $100 million to avoid accountability for drinking water contamination. Uh-oh. It says between 2019 and 2022, chemical companies spent more than $110 million lobbying against rules to curb potentially harmful forever chemicals, according to a new study by Food and Water Watch, known as PFAS. These man-made chemicals take years to break down and are widely used in everyday consumer goods like cookware, cosmetics, outdoor clothing, and food packaging. Scientists say there are nearly 15,000 types of PFAS. Its ubiquity, however, means that today many PFAS are found in the blood of people and animals and are present in low levels in a variety of food products and in the environment. The EPA says, the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease regularly states that most people in the U.S. have PFAS in their blood. Over time, repeated exposure to PFAS can cause some of these chemicals to accumulate in the body. Currently, the EPA says that drinking water is potentially a significant source of PFAS exposure. A government report concluded in July that at least 45% of tap water in the country contains PFAS. Another study found that PFAS contamination in water disproportionately affects Black and Hispanic communities. So this is great, Roger. Oh, let me go here right here. Says lobbying disclosures compiled by FWW finds that 8 current and former PFAS manufacturers, 3M, Acroma, Chemours, Daikin, Dow, DuPont, Honeywell, and Solvay spent $55.7 million lobbying on PFAS and other issues. Several of these companies have notably been accused of misleading the public on the risks of PFAS. Meanwhile, the American Chemistry Council and Industry Trade Association also lobbied on PFAS every quarter from 2019 to 2022, with reports mentioning PFAS totaling $58.7 million in lobbying expenditures. So I'm going to share this in the chat. Thanks a lot for this, Roger, because this is also important. And if you guys would like to, just share this as well. And give Roger a big old thank you in the chat. And just as an aside, I don't drink tap water in my house. We go to this, it's like a dispenser in our neighborhood where we take the 5-gallon jugs because we have a water cooler and we refill those. It's like $1.50, like $1.50 just to refill a 5-gallon jug, right? And so we refill like all of our jugs. Like we take like a day out for like every 3 weeks to a month, and we refill all those jugs, and we have bottled water all day, every day. And I refill this every single time. So, it's reversed osmosis, and it's, ultra filtered. So I don't have to worry about drinking tap water because fuck that noise. And you know what? To be honest with you, what's sad is what I just did right there. Most Palestinians don't even have the luxury of being able to do what I just did. It's something that simple. That's what's sick. So thanks for that, Roger. All right, let's go to the rest of the chat. And let's see. So Black Jock says Aaron should have called Hunter B. Isn't he still on the board at Amtrak? I'm not kidding. Hunter B. Oh, Hunter. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Yeah. Couple Commander says the very corporation conglomerate responsible. Yep. Oh jeez. Omar says the bigger a corporation gets, the more evil it becomes. Damn right. John to Emily says free Palestine. Absolutely. Jacqueline says this is a crime. How can anyone justify this? With the environmental crisis and climate crisis, we need to save as much farmland as possible. Evil. Absolutely, Jacqueline. I agree. Eccentricast says no one can see or hear what they're doing in Gaza and their hospitals without concluding that they aren't Yahtzees. I gotta press my language carefully because I'm on YouTube. After all, Zionists work with Yahtzees. Cobra Commander says now you know why it's called the Dow Jones stock market. Is it really that's why it's called the Dow Jones? I gotta look that up. And yes, Red Dove Rising says this issue is so overwhelming. Sometimes this issue is so overwhelming. Yeah, I agree. I actually talked about that in my latest reading on Laziness Does Not Exist by Dr. Von Price. If you want to, you can go ahead. It's like less than 40 minutes long. You can look it up in my playlist for Laziness Does Not Exist. The latest one is in chapter 5, part 1. So this is some deep stuff. This is a good point too, Red Dove Rising. It's the hypocrisy that gets me. Had Russia done anything remotely similar, we wouldn't hear the end of it internationally. Yes, absolutely, Red Dove Rising. E. Heller says, if the subject is ceasefire now, it's never appropriate. Yup, and they treat it just like that too. Absolutely, E. Heller. And yes, I got it, Roger. So thank you so much. And I'll do one more. Sean says, gas frack. I think he meant fracking is crazy, polluting the groundwater. Yes, and that's what they do. All right, everybody. So if you guys have not, please make sure to like the stream. Also, just to let you guys know, I want to thank everybody for being a supporter of the channel. If you guys have not, you guys can also become a patron on Patreon. Shout out to patrons on Patreon, Coffee, as well as anybody that sends me any type of funds via PayPal. Just to let you guys know, my channel is demonetized because I dare go against the YouTube gods and talk about what's going on and show what was going on in Israel and Palestine. And for that, I was demonetized. I don't know if it's still temporary or not. We will see in January. But baby, yes. But thank you to all the people who sent me or support me via Patreon or PayPal. And just to let you guys know, I want to give a shout out to my newest patron. Wait, did I already? I think I already said that person. My apologies. Yes. I could have swore I put that in. Nope, I did not. Let me make sure I put this in because I want to make sure I get this person's name. I forgot to put this in. I will get it right now because it's important and I do not want to leave your name out. Hang on. JB, got to get it together, people. What in the world is wrong with me? Okay. Let's see. All right. Shout out to new patron, the Talking Wombat. Thank you so very much as well. Without you guys, I would not be able to do this work. And just as an aside, so that you guys are aware, I do this work and I do not get funded or paid by any type of corporation. I don't get corporate funding. Shoot, I'm broke. And so it all comes from you guys. And so with that, just to let you guys know, here are the tiers. You have JB members, Solidarity, Comrades, Jaybefaunters, Super Jaybefaunters, Super Duper Jaybefaunters, and Mega Jaybefaunters. So thank you so very much to all who have been contributors to this channel. So, and also just to let you guys know, we're doing a fundraiser for Orlando Mutual Aid, RBN chapter. If you guys would like to, you guys can donate at $Orlando RBN. We're raising $3,000 for grocery gift cards, toiletries, and warm clothes. Thank you so very much to everybody that has donated so far. And we are trying to do this for December to help out our neighbors. So if you guys would like to, you guys can also do that as well. And I will put the link to that as well in the chat so you guys can donate if you would like. Da, 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 da. Why do I do that jingle? I hate that. Yeah. Anywho. Now, what are we going to be talking about next? Let's get to it, people. Our primary story we're going to go to is It's all connected, boo. It is all connected. Baby, all this stuff going on is connected. Absolutely. Let me share something with you, because I think this is important. And I am happy that this has gotten as much attention as it has, because guess what? People need to know. So I put out a tweet a few days ago. It wasn't even actually my original tweet. It was actually a retweet. And yes, I'm still calling them tweets because screw Elon Musk. I'm calling it Twitter. It's still going to be Twitter to me. All right. On Twitter, here's what I stated. So originally, there was this. This is from K Diallo. Says Congo is silently going through a genocide. Don't keep silent. Speak up for the Congolese brothers and sisters. And it's a sad picture of a dead Congolese mother, and her baby toddler is pulling on her because she won't wake up. I said Congo is going through a massacre as we speak. Why? Because the West wants minerals and they need to keep the region destabilized. When I say the West, I also mean Israel. Yep. Now, this tweet got a lot of coverage. This tweet pretty much went viral. 5.1 million views just for my retweet. And we're so far at 129,000 likes, 84,000 retweets, and 258 comments. Now, there's a lot of black people. I wet my whistle for this one. There's a lot of black people that will go, well, what's going on in Palestine is bad, but we don't have any connection to that. It's not our dog. We don't have a dog in this fight. First of all, yes, you do, because it's your federal dollars that are actually going towards Israel in order to massacre Palestinians, number one. Number two, y'all forget that there are Afro-Palestinians or just black Palestinians in Palestine as well that are also suffering. So don't get it twisted. Our people are still there. Number three, what's also going on in Palestine is directly connected to Congo. So if you consider black people, all black people, your people, then Israel is also contributing to what's going on in African countries. So you do have a dog in this fight. And number four, let me tell you this. The IDF literally trains the police in this country. And so when police are bashing your head in, who did they learn it from? They learned it from the Israeli Defense Force. So to all the black Americans that may say, oh, we don't have a dog in this fight, in the words of Donald Trump, wrong. Wrong. You do have a dog in this fight. And so this is why it behooves your solidarity. It behooves you wanting to dismantle the system. Because once you dismantle the system, you're not only doing it for them, you're also doing it for yourself. Let's go. Gotta love it. Let's go into the article. Kenya, Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo backs Israel's genocide assault on Palestinians in Gaza. Say it ain't so. All right. This came out almost a month ago. Says the governments of Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Kenya, home to some of the most horrific crimes of imperialism in the 20th century, have joined U.S. and European governments in their support of Israel's campaign of mass murder and ethnic cleansing in Gaza. They are rushing to reinforce the howls of outrage emanating from Washington, London, Berlin, Paris, and Madrid. But any extermination of the record of these rotten regimes and imperialism's crimes against their people historically instead underscores the political amnesia required for anyone to swallow this torrent of hypocrisy and lies. Oh, I love the way they wrote that. Kenya's President William Ruto, indicted over crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court, over his role of instigating ethnic violence after the 2007 elections that left over 1,500 dead and 500,000 displaced, posted a statement expressing solidarity with the state of Israel. So yes, there are Zionists in Africa. As Kenya, he pontificated, unequivocally condemns terrorism and attacks on innocent civilians in the country, and supports actions against perpetrators, organizers, financiers, sponsors, supporters, and enablers of terrorism. Rwanda, under the 3-decade brutal dictatorship of Paul Kagame, issued a similar statement condemning the Palestinian armed uprising as an act of terror and expressing sympathy for Israel following the terror attacks on Israeli territory, leading to the loss of lives, numerous injuries, and the abduction of hostages. DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix. All right, this is going to be tough. Tshisekedi. I'm terrible with names. Sorry. Who recently sent the army to crack down on anti-United Nations protesters in Goma City, killing over 50 demonstrators, firmly condemned the terrorist attacks, causing heavy loss of life and many injuries. Says despite the propaganda campaign in the mass media, the populations in all these countries, like the vast majority of the world's people, solidarize with the Palestinians who have been subjected to decades of opposition and persecution. So basically, the leaders of these countries are with Israel, even though the people, just like the United States, are with Palestine. Now, if I'm correct right now, there's supposed to be a pro-Israel protest going on right now, I think in Washington, D.C. I don't even know how big it is. I don't know how successful it is. But one thing I do know is I don't think they're going to reach the same numbers as the pro-Palestine protests that happened not this Saturday, but the past Saturday with over 300,000. So I think that it's going to be less, but we'll see. So yeah, let's continue because this article gets deep into the issue of colonialism. So it talks about Kenya gained independence in 1963. So you have that. About the Mau Mau uprising. It says, like today's Netanyahu's regime portrayal of Palestinians as quote-unquote animals, the British colonial authorities decried the heroic figures who were armed with homemade guns, machetes, and bows and arrows against the modern equipped British army and its local collaborators as animals and savages animated by backward beliefs. As one official study of the colonial authorities said, the Mau Mau were an irrational force of evil, dominated by bestial impulses and influenced by world communism. So that's what they said. So that's a similarity. Now, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, is home to one of the most horrific crimes of imperialism. Colonized by Belgium, an estimated 8 to 10 million Africans died as victims of King Leopold's rubber terror from 1855 to 1908 because of forced labor, aka slavery, to collect rubber for export, together with the epidemic, disease, and famines. Parents who refused to participate in rubber collection were threatened with having their children's hands cut off and their entire villages razed. By the way, just to let you guys know, in Belgium, they still sell chocolate hands. That's an insult to the Congolese who were enslaved by Belgium to not mine, but to cultivate rubber. And that's what happens. King Leopold was a horrific figure. He's up there with Hitler. And Andrew Jackson. Now, it says after independence in 1960, Belgium and the U.S. worked to murder and the democratically elected Patrice Lumumba, the leader of the anti-colonial struggle. Lumumba demanded that the Congo should control its own extensive mineral wealth, sign his death warrant. He was captured by pro-imperialist forces, tortured, and executed, and his body was dissolved in acid. The Belgians kept his teeth as souvenirs. They wanted no remnants of Patrice Lumumba. And now you have their leaders promoting settler colonialism. It says over the next decades, Congo was ruled by the CIA's proxy, Joseph Mobutu, who ran the country as a kleptocracy. He looted an estimated $5 billion before his removal in 1997. The spilling over into the Congo of the Rwandan crisis in the 1990s cost as many as 5.4 million lives over the next decade, dubbed the world's deadliest since World War II, and what was come to known as the First Congo and Second Congo Wars. Now, there's a point that I want to make, so I'm going to talk about Rwanda too. It says Rwanda was colonized by Germany and then Belgium, the roots of the 1994 Tutsi genocide, which saw 900,000 people butchered in 100 days, has roots in the colonial era. Belgium enforced strict hierarchical divides among otherwise fluid and overlapping ethnic groups, the Tutsi, Hutu, and Twa, as a way of maintaining control in Rwanda. Now, we're going to get into this. It says, at first, Belgian colonial authorities reinforced existing Tutsi elite powers and structures. But during the late 1950s, when Tutsi monarchy started calling for independence, Belgian imperialism responded by magnifying long simmering resentment among the Hutu peasant majority and reversed discrimination, elevating Hutu over Tutsi and creating a new oppressive state based on the exclusion of Tutsi. So I'm going to share this article with you guys, but just know that the colonialism pushes the divides among African tribes and ethnic groups. So, let's share this too. I can't believe I forgot to share this part, but let me. Okay. Let me share this video really quick because I can't believe I forgot to share this. but should have shared this in the outset, but it's okay. This young lady has been on it so good. Oh my gosh. I appreciate her.
What you see behind me are the Congolese people being forced to mine natural resources, especially coltan, out of their own free will. And this is being enforced by the militia group of Rwanda and Uganda that is funded by the colonizers, America, Britain, France, and Israel. This is what these people are going through every single day of their lives. This is what's happening. And anyone that refuses to do this, you get either unalived, or if you're a woman or a girl, you're going to be hourly. Like literally, the soldiers take turns to basically assault young women and grown women over and over and over again. In Congo, it's the most unsafe place for any woman and any girl to live there, because of all the atrocities that are happening to them. So this is the reality of the people of Congo. And the world needs to wake up. You guys, we need to talk more about what's happening in Congo, in Sudan, and what's happening around the world, because we have been brainwashed and literally hypnotized to just focus on ourselves. And, you know, they throw all these things, whether it's streaming services, whether it's anything to just distract us from knowing the truth of what's going on around the world and what the colonizers are doing to our own people all around the world. Okay, so let's talk about Congo. You guys share this video, like it, subscribe, blow it up, and make your own videos too, because I'm covering so many topics and I'm gonna.
And she's right. So what's going on in Congo? And there is ties to colonialism. Israel is a settler colonial state, so they're going to do it. They're going to participate in colonialism as well. So let me share this. And I saw this video and I was just like, that tracks. So I want to share this.
Why aren't you paying attention to the genocide in Congo? And I was like, you know what? Let me just look into it real quick. But first, did you know that one of Israel's biggest exports is diamonds? Right? $9.06 billion in 2021, making it the fifth largest exporter of diamonds in the world. Israel is considered one of the most important countries that import rough diamonds and the most prominent countries that export polished diamonds. Most of these diamonds come from African countries such as South Africa, Liberia, Congo, and directly linked to groups committing massacres against civilians in order to obtain diamonds. And trade with these diamonds leads to the death of tens of thousands of people annually in the countries of origin. The sale and export of these diamonds are linked to a major arms deal, the creation of civil wars, and financing the fighting groups. This has caused the diamonds trade in Africa to be called a dirty trade. The jewels are called blood diamonds because the blood of thousands of Africans is shit. They're upset that we're not paying attention to the other genocide that they're causing. Oh my.
So basically, it's all connected. It's all connected, baby. Now, that article that gentleman was reading from, it goes deeper. He didn't even cover the entire thing. So, Israel's dirty trade in Africa, diamonds, weapons, and settlements. Make sure I get this big enough. Okay. So it says Israel is considered one of the most important countries that import rough diamonds and the most prominent countries that import polished diamonds. Most of these diamonds come from African countries such as South Africa, Liberia, Congo, Ivory Coast, among others. These countries are directly linked to groups committing massacres against civilians in order to obtain diamonds, and trade with these diamonds lead to the deaths of tens of thousands of people annually in the countries of origin. The sale and export of these diamonds are linked to major arms deals, the creation of civil wars, and financing fighting groups. This has caused the diamond trade in Africa to be called the dirty trade. The jewels are called blood diamonds because of the jewels of thousands of Africans is shed. The blood of thousands of Africans is shed in order to extract and market them. So, unfortunately, for a lot of Africans, there is a lot of destabilization and there is a lot of violence. Now, what have we learned is that if you keep an area destabilized, that means that people don't want to stay there. People don't want to live there. So you chase them off, and then whose land is that now? It's the land of whoever occupies that land. And this is why sexual assault goes, because if women, especially who are sexually assaulted, don't feel safe in an area, they're gone, right? Which means the men follow, typically. So it clears that area. And then the people who have to stay, they are basically subject to inhumane working conditions, basically slavery, but that's the only game in town. So they have to mine for diamonds or mine for coltan or mine for whatever mineral that they have to get their hands on for these big corporations. So this is how it goes. And so the destabilization works for a lot of these corporations because now they don't have to pay a decent living wage. They don't have to make sure that there's worker protections. All they got to do is slide some money to either some militant groups or to some governments that will make sure to keep things destabilized. And a lot of times these Western governments, these colonial governments, like Belgium, France, England, Germany, United States, Italy, what have you, they will make sure that they will keep these people like the heads of Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya in their pockets. Let's continue. It says the Jews were among the pioneers of the diamond industry, starting from the Middle Ages. In the European countries, they were banned from working in many fields, but the trade of gold and diamonds were exempt from the ban. Therefore, a majority of Jews worked in that field, and the trade expanded considerably after the first Zionist conference held in Basel, Switzerland in 1897, aiming to provide a financial source that would help the Zionist movement carry out its plans. Therefore, the Jewish billionaire Edmund Rothschild established the first diamond factory in Petah Tikva settlement in Palestine in 1937, before the establishment of Israel. Jewish diamond experts who came from Belgium and the Netherlands to settle in Palestine worked in this factory. After the increase in the number of Jewish immigrants to Palestine, other diamond factories were established in Tel Aviv, and these factories were united into the Israel Diamond Manufacturers Association. The association's work flourished after Nazi Germany occupied a number of European cities that were considered centers for the manufacturing trade of diamonds. A large number of diamonds and its trade went to the association. After Israel was established, the industry systems and mechanisms used in the industry improved and developed, allowing the association to become the center for diamonds in Israel. The position of president of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses was even filled by several Israeli individuals. It says diamonds come to Israel from several sources, the most important of which are some African countries, Russia, Canada, as well as some from other areas by illegal means, meaning providing some countries in the African continent with arms and military equipment in exchange for rough diamonds. Israel has a diamond exchange in Ramat Gan near Tel Aviv, and it occupied an important position in the manufacture and polishing of diamonds as well as other precious stones. This is because the Israeli diamond industry uses very advanced equipment and new techniques. The diamonds are cut with lasers and that they are polished by machines. There are also officials representing major international companies in the diamond business. Here's the point. It says, therefore, the diamond industry and its export is one of the most important Israeli industries. The revenue of this trade reached 30% of the gross national income of 2011, while in 2014, the trade of rough and polished diamonds in Israel amounted to $9.2 billion. This industry contributes $1 billion annually to the Israeli Defense Ministry's budget. Starting from 2012, Israel has begun carrying out geological tests in order to extract diamonds from areas near the city of Haifa, which, according to the World Federation of Diamonds, Israel exports nearly $50 billion in diamonds a year. So, Israel's distinction in this trade is due to several factors. Most importantly, its relationship with the apartheid government in South Africa, and the fact that its industry is old and has been passed down to the Jewish community in Africa. Another reason for this is Israel's disregard for international laws regarding arms trade and export, which is something it has done with several racist and fascist countries in Africa that were ravaged by civil and ethnic conflicts and wars. The accusation is clear, and it indicates that Israel steals African diamonds in return for supplying Africans with weapons and military equipment in order to fuel the internal ethnic, race, and regional wars on the continent, despite the condemnations issued by a number of international bodies and organizations. These are usually directed to major Israeli traders, but none of these blood dealers, as dubbed by these international organizations, have been put on trial. Does the report accuse Israeli traders of having a direct relationship with the bloody diamond trade, particularly in the Ivory Coast and Sierra Leone? Although the UN Security Council passed several resolutions in the late 1990s banning and restricting the import of rough diamonds from conflict zones in Africa in order to prevent the use of financial revenues to prolong conflicts, Israel continues its theft. So ultimately, this is colonialism and imperialism. Now, take a look at this. This stuff is so connected. It says, what is most interesting in this is the relationship between trade of dirty diamonds and Israeli arms companies on one hand, and the funding of settlement projects in Jerusalem and the rest of occupied Palestinian territories on the other. This thorny relationship also involves officers from Israeli Mossad. The most prominent example of this is Israeli billionaire Lev Leviv, a Jew of Russian origin who was an officer in the Israeli army working in Africa. He currently is one of the most important leaders in the diamond industry and trade in the world, and a major funder of Israeli settlements and head of the Israel Land Fund, a Jewish organization run by extremist Jews, I should say Israeli Zionists, who aim to steal Palestinian land by violent means. So, it's all connected. And when somebody says, oh, there's no connection, yes, there is. There's different minerals that are connected, or precious stones like diamonds that are connected into these areas. And so you always have to follow the money. Like, why does the United States have AFRICOM in Africa? Why is it that Mali has over 2,000 gold reserves, but they don't have gold? I'm sorry, they have over 2,000 gold mines, but no gold reserves. But France has over 600 gold reserves, but no gold mines. Why? It's theft. That's basically what it is. It's theft. And a lot of times what ends up happening is a lot of these, in particular, these imperialist governments, what they will do is they will exacerbate a conflict between ethnic groups, prop up one ethnic group over another, and then there's resentment and infighting among those ethnic groups, and they will instigate fighting between these ethnic groups in Africa. In particular, in Rwanda, you have the Hutus and the Tutsis. And so because they do that, it keeps the area destabilized. And then it keeps the manipulation tactics of these imperialist countries to the fore so that they can manipulate things and say, well, you guys need some help? Well, then let us bring in our arms and we'll arm you guys to help you guys against an insurgent group that tries to take over. And so that's basically how it is. The colonialism that has happened still happens down to this day. I found this article as well. I think it's kind of important. Take a look at these. This one is colonialism, the origin of Africa's tribalistic woes. And it says, with over 3,000 ethnic groups in Africa, the continent is largely ethnicized, with many tribes in different countries that speak different languages and have dynamic cultures, beliefs, and traditions. The peculiarity of the various tribes and ethnic groups make them unique and distinct from each other, providing a sense of belonging to their members because of shared language, rituals, and traditions. Many of these tribes existed for centuries before becoming part of a country, as they were fully established independent entities providing diversity to the country and thriving on their own. Over the years, tribalism emanating from these various tribes have influenced leadership and politics, led to insurgencies, effects of growth and development of countries, and continues to be a major declining factor in the leadership and progress of many African countries. The Rwandan genocide and Nigerian civil war are key incidences resulting from tribal conflicts that have affected growth and development of Nigeria and Rwanda, and the consequences of which they grapple with today. The question remains, how did they get here? And then it says, before colonialism, there were reports of tribal clashes over land and territories. The absence of civilization, quote unquote civilization, and modern knowledge of warfare limited these clashes, and they were not as calamitous as modern versions have been. Perhaps they might have remained that way if not for incursion of colonialists. European nations colonized many African countries. Britain colonized Nigeria, Germany colonized Rwanda, and France colonized Cameroon. The list goes on. The bias and subtle discord created by the selfish policies of colonists formed the genesis of unhealthy tribalism, which has spread its wings and birthed fundamental problems in these countries. So when people come and go, oh man, well, Africans, they just can't get themselves together and they're always fighting each other. Who started the fight? Who instigated that shit? And why did they do it? Because guess what? If you two, let's say hypothetically, you two are, you guys are siblings and you both are overseeing some lush land, right? It has some nice resources in it. But I want that land and resources. What is the best way to get that land and resources away from you both? Make you fight each other. Prop one side up more than the other. Make one side resent the other. And then cause discord. And then destabilize the area. Take the land. And then start making money off of it. And then prop up one side and say, hey, you guys allow us to have all this, then, you guys will have a good seat with us. will give you weapons, ammunition, and you guys get to have a more prominent role in society over those guys. And that's how it works. And that's how and why these countries have the systems that they have. And then they will prop up different people who are their puppets, just like they did after the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. And then they will put them in positions of power in order to be a puppet dictator of the governments. And so whenever they're called to prop up governments like the United States, France, Belgium, Germany, Israel, then they will do it because they're puppets, even though the people may stand with the oppressed in their respective regions. So it's all connected, baby. And this is why it's so important that we link these connections, because imperialism and colonialism is constantly being done against the global South. Whether you're talking about what's going on in places like Argentina, Colombia, Bolivia, to when you get to places in, South Africa, Malawi, Congo, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Cameroon. It doesn't matter as long as these powers get to have their hands on the resources, because they can't keep their hands off of Africa, because they wouldn't have the societies that they have if they didn't. So this is why it is connected, and always follow the money. It is imperialism. So yes, that's why I said occupation and colonialism, illegal occupation and colonialism, it's all connected. What's going on with the Palestinians is connected. What's going on to the Sudanese, what's connected to the Sudanese is connected to the Congolese. What's connected to the Congolese is connected to Rwandan. What's connected to Rwandan is connected to the Haitian. What is connected to the Haitian is connected to you and me here in this country. And then that is connected to the destabilization that they tried to do in places like Chile, and what they tried to do in places like Bolivia, what they're trying to do to Venezuela, what they're trying to do to Cuba. It's all connected. Never stop connecting the dots. Because let's face it, where are they going to go? They can't necessarily colonize another planet because we don't have the technology or the resources to do that. Everything happens on this one planet. And so, of course, it's always the same culprits. So, did you like the stream? Go ahead and give me a like. I think, you know what? There's a particular thing that I was thinking about doing, but I don't know. I'll show it at the end, but I'm going to show you guys what I like to call a bright spot in Gaza, and I'll get to that towards the end. But just to leave on a more brighter note. So, but hang on. Let me get to the chat. Let me start off with The Rock. Let me check The Rock. Okay, we're good on The Rock. All right, so let's go to the rest of the... I almost said it. I almost said that antiquated way of saying it. The chat. Just stay there, JB. Okay. Quantum Alchemist says, that said, generally speaking, the Congo is a dangerous place. Basically, the Congo is about the most dangerous place you can be on Earth. I don't know. I'm looking at Libya and what the United States has basically done to Libya and made it to an open air slave market. I don't know. Libya is kind of a close second, at least. But unfortunately, that's the way it is because of imperialism. Jacqueline says being sent to prison is too good for the people in charge of the West. There's absolutely no limit to their evil. Jacqueline, you ain't saying nothing but a word. Let me see. Victor the Van says the UN fails again, shaking my head. Look, I'll be honest with you. I think that the UN is really just it's like it's like a puppet to make you think that there's some neutral, arbitrary, neutral power that oversees how the world conducts itself. It's like a figurehead. But unfortunately for us, that figurehead is being run by the West. It's not actually being ran by all the neighborhood of nations around the world that are within the United Nations. Because you'll have nations that will call to condemn Israel for what it's doing right now in Gaza, and it will be like 130 countries, and then it's only like 6-7 countries at the most that are vote no to condemn Israel. Usually it's just Israel and United States primarily, and if Israel and United States say no, then nothing gets passed, nothing gets done. Even though a super majority of the countries say, nah, we need to change this. But yet the United States gets to call the shots of what happens in the UN. That's not right. And so part of me is like, is the UN just a tool for the United States to run the world? It feels like it. So it's like, did it actually fail? It depends on who you ask. For us, it's a failure, but for the United States, it's a win. Red Dove Rising says, so they fund stealing from Palestine by stealing from Africa. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what we call it. Let's go to, this stuff is so connected. Cobra Commander says UN and NATO real baddies. Mm-hmm. The Quantum Alchemist says there should have never been any vetoes or veto power in the UN. Got a point there. It's like, who gets to choose? It's like not even fair. Anyways, so yeah, that's some of the connection. It's connected via imperialism in places. So make sure to like the stream if you have not already. And if you guys have not signed up for my Substack at jaybefaunt.substack.com. And if you guys would like to, you guys can also subscribe to my Patreon to support the channel. You know what? I'm showing it because I want you guys to smile. I want you guys to smile at least one time during my show. Because I need to. I need to, and I know y'all need to. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to smile for the last point of the show. Because a lot of times we will have Okay, I'm gonna show you two things because. Okay, so two things. I'm gonna show you guys this first thing. Oh, I can't look. I'm sorry, but I am just like, how can I put it? And Roger, I know you in the chat. Don't you say a word. Look, I almost grew ovaries because I saw this. I'm telling you, this was the cutest thing I ever seen. Cutest thing I ever seen. Look, you guys are gonna love this. Look, if I love this, you guys are gonna love this too. All right, so let me share this. There's a bright spot in Gaza, and I just want you guys to see this cuteness overload. Yes, I just look. Just look. This is a bright spot in Gaza. It says, ask Keenan to laugh. He didn't. He did this instead. This is out of Gaza. This kid is too cute. Oh my gosh.
اضحك اضحك
اوكي
ضحكت؟ كمان مرة لا مش ضحكة هذه اضحك اضحك كنان
Oh my gosh. Wasn't that the cutest thing? Like, I just want to take him out for ice cream. Somebody take that kid out for ice cream, man. And see, that right there, that's who we protest for, man. That's who we protest for. Babies like that, man. This is why Palestine deserves to be free. So that people, little ones like that, have a chance to live and thrive in a world. You can't tell me that that person is worthy of being destroyed. Keep talking about this. Do not stop. Because if not, you're condemning little ones like that to a life of pain and suffering and death. Keep your compassion and grow it to as large as you possibly can. That's what I always say. Now, there's another thing I'm going to show you guys. It's funny. Because I want you guys to laugh too. I saw this and I was just like, yeah, you guys need to laugh. And I don't know. I saw this. This was funny too. I want you guys to laugh. Joy is revolutionary. We're going to be joyful. All right. Let's go, baby.
I'm here live with BJ News at the Hate March. Everyone's brown and it smells. Let's go interview Hamas. Excuse me, how long have you been a human shield?
5 years.
5 years. Thank you very much. Why do you hate all Jews? Because you're here at a pro-Palestine march.
I don't hate all Jews.
Liar! She's lying!
Zionism, okay. Zionism, no way!
Is he taking the piss? Look, even the children are mad. Look how angry this Hamas baby is.
Ceasefire now!
Why should we call for a ceasefire when all of this started on October 7th?
Because it didn't start on October 7th.
I fucking hate this place.
Palestine!
He means Israel. He means Israel, 100%. Why are you asking for an armistice on Armistice Day?
Because it's important.
Yeah, but isn't that disrespectful?
I don't think so.
Well, why don't you go back to your own country if you don't like it?
I'm English.
Right, delete that. Find a brown person, quick.
A witch, Shwela, you're a witch! Oh, Shwela, you're a witch!
Unacceptable. Brown people shouting Hamas chants in the streets. What do you think of shit?
Rishi.
What do you think of Rishi?
Shit!
Thank you.
That's all right!
We hate Rishi. We hate Rishi. Oh, I've been looking for you all day. Wait, when are you going to stop this hate march, this rabble? When you agree that they're absolutely tearing down the city? No. I like him. He's one of us. Thank you for keeping us safe, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Thank you for keeping us safe.
Oh my gosh. Wasn't that great, guys? Oh my goodness. Look, here's the thing. Like, you know, when I was reading in Laziness Does Not Exist a few days ago, don't allow yourself to constantly be depressed. Take in the information you need to, and then once you take that information in, if you need to decouple yourself for a little bit in order to regain your emotional and mental energy, do it for the sake of being able to come back and then share whatever information that you need and combat the misinformation that's coming out. Because those little breaks that you take for your mental and emotional health are meant to keep you going in the fight against misinformation about what's going on. And we're literally winning the information war. We are winning the war against disinformation. We're talking about what's actually going on. That this didn't just happen on October 7th. This has been going on for 75 years. And you let people know and show people how it's all connected. Absolutely. Because ultimately, the more people know about the truth, the historical context, as the guys at Midwestern Marx would say, the dialectical materialism and how things started and how it progressed to now, the full story, then those who know history will try to prevent it from being repeated in the negative sense. So please do that. All right. Take care of yourselves. And yes, please continue to support independent media, not just my channel, but other channels out there as well that are also talking about this. You have people like Dan Cohen, Abby Martin. You have Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal. As far as this entire thing going on with Israel and Palestine, I say Katie Halper has been on it, right? Of course, Danny Haifong, people like Margaret Kimberly, Ann Garrison, the people at Black Agenda Report. Make sure to pay attention to people like Carl Jha, Dr. Luna Oy, people like that, Pepe Escobar, and so I'm forgetting some names, but a lot of the independent journalists that are out there, right? Those of us at RBN and Savvy Sabs on her channel. So please make sure to support independent media because we're going to try to bring you as much of the truth as we possibly can. All right. Now, I will get going, but just to let you guys know, again, we are raising funds for Orlando Mutual Aid. So if you guys would like to, you guys can donate at $Orlando RBN through Cash App. We're giving away grocery gift cards, toiletries, and warm clothes. So thank you so very much. And I will put the link to that in the chat as well so that you guys can donate if your heart's desire. We're going to do that. I'm starting to sound like somebody from NPR. That was Back That Ass Up from Big Timers. I like that phrase, back that ass up. It reminds me of a dance that I used to do when I was in college called twerking. Yes, twerking. It's one of my favorite dances. My my stage name used to be Good and Plenty for obvious reasons. I used to have a friend. They were very short. We used to call them Sweet and Low. I'm sorry, guys. Yo. Oh my gosh. Roger, what are you talking about, bro? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I will go into I'll try to reach out to Sergio. I text messaged him already, Roger, but I didn't get a response yet, but I'll reach out again. But you sent me this link. Hang on, let me do this before I go, because I may have to talk about this another time. This is from NPR. Says why thousands of UAW auto workers are voting no on Big Three's life-changing contracts. What? Came out when I was live. Oh, what? Says auto workers at the Big Three once set their gold standard for middle class life with good wages and lifelong benefits, but that hasn't been true for a long time. Now the question is, can the record contracts that have been emerged from the United Auto Workers strike actually turn things around? While raises of 25% or more, cost of living allowances tied to inflation and increased 401k retirement contributions are impressive wins, more than the union has gotten in the past 22 years combined. Many auto workers note the gains only partially make up for what was lost over decades of concessions. Well, that's true. As auto workers go out their union halls to vote on the deals, feelings are mixed. Early votes tally so far, a sizable minority are voting no, according to vote trackers of the UAW's website. 34% of roughly 25,000 votes cast by Ford workers as of Tuesday midday were no votes. A majority of workers who cast ballot at Ford's Kentucky truck plant, the company's largest plant, voted no. Meanwhile, 48% of roughly 16,000 votes cast by General Motors workers so far have been no, including a majority of those cast at GM's Flint, Sibley, and Spring Hill, Tennessee plants. As of Tuesday midday, according to the vote tracker, fewer than 5,000 workers at the Stellantis had cast votes, with 82% voting in favor of the contract. Interesting. Oh boy, I may have to talk about this probably Thursday or Saturday. This is interesting. We're going to see the results of this probably by tonight. Thanks a lot for this, Roger. Wow. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Roger. Whew. Interesting. All right. Thank you for that breaking news. Things happen right when you go live. But yes, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Smoke them if you got them, drink them if you got them, and twerk them if you got them. Yes, I like to twerk them if I got them. And trust and believe, according to my boyfriend, I got it. Roger, don't you say nothing I know. Next time I go on call in on Savvy's channel, you're going to say something. You're going to be like, James, what are you talking about, man? You talking about twerking now? Lord, oh Lord, don't get me started. Anywho, take care, everybody. Mwah, forehead kisses to all you twerkers out there. Bye. Yay. Twerk 'em if you got 'em. you.